and working class is ignored. Donald Trump comes along and says, I care about you, which was a lie. So
I don't know if that's a lie. I'd give pushback on that. I think that it has to be proven that it's a lie.
All right, I'll prove it.
Yes, thank you. And you're right, I could look through rose-colored glasses, but
Andrew Schulz, Mr. Andrew Schulz, you have to understand, if someone comes to you and says, I'm going to fix your problems, and you just say okay, and you vote for them or you pay them to do X, Y, and Z, but they haven't showed you in their past, in their job history, in their work history, anything. They don't have a plan for nothing to fix whatever you're wanting them to fix. Why? Just why would you believe them? That's the stupid perspective to have. Now, before we get into the video, I just want to make sure everybody knows who Andrew Schulz really is. And I'm not talking about him as a person or a comedian. I'm talking about when people like Andrew Schulz, who originates from one thing and then finds themselves into politics, and they do it in such a lazy, dishonest way, those are grifters. That's opportunists. Call it whatever you want, but these are not really genuine, seekers of truth or answers or solutions to everyday problems. No, that is not him. And when he was on trigonometry, or when he has people like Trump or other Republicans, he's this dumbass, virgin type guy who's in desperate need of a friend. You know what I'm saying? Like when he was on Trigonometry, I think that's the show. He said, I'm paraphrasing here, but I'm pretty sure this is it. He says, the only way that I'm going to vote Democrat, or the next time I'll vote Democrat, the president needs to have a few baby mamas and says I can say whatever I want. Something to that effect. I did a video of this a few weeks ago. That's ignorant at its best. Those are the kind of people we do not want in politics. They're not willing to put in the time and the effort to learn some things, the basics. But of course, when Pete Buttigieg, or as we're going to see with Bernie Sanders, he's not that kind of person. He's not that, just saying whatever slick thing comes to mind. He's asking questions. He's curious on solutions and solving some of these actual problems Americans go through. So it's like you can't play both. You can't be both. I mean, you can, but you're going to get called out for being a grifter, an opportunist. And that's exactly who he is. So I got to keep in mind, I'm going to try not to go in on his ass as much as I want to. Pause, hey. But these types of interviews, the reason why people like Bernie Sanders are even wasting their time going on to podcasts like this, where they're not going to actually have a real, genuine, deep conversation, is for the listeners. That's all Bernie Sanders is doing this for. He's not trying to convince or teach the people on that couch. No. As far as I know, Andrew Schulz, lost cause. Just get out the way. But Bernie Sanders is doing this strictly for the listeners, and I respect that. So let's go ahead and get into this. This is 1 hour and 24 minutes and 18 seconds. We're not going to go through the whole video, but there's 3 parts of this that I want to go over, because I think these were really important moments here. Okay, I'm already on the first one. All right, let's get into it.
But Bernie, surely they're paying taxes on all that new profits they're making, right?
Right.
And surely
right. But that is getting back to this important issue, which I kind of started, what is reality? So if you're the average worker out there,
yes, sir,
you're seeing people on the top getting phenomenally rich. You're no better off. And by the way, the likelihood is your kid is going to be worse off than you are, right?
Yeah.
That's a tough reality. Why is that? Who the hell is even talking about? A, why is that? And B, what the hell do we do about
And
it?
I think that was the appeal of Trump, is he appeared to be talking to us.
Exactly.
Whereas Democrats are kind of condescending and ignoring it.
All right. Essentially, Democrats say, status quo is working okay. We're going to tinker around the edges, make a little bit of a change here. Trump says the whole goddamn
horrible.
system is broken.
Yeah.
But he said, I will fix it.
Yeah.
Well, his solutions will make it worse. But
So that example right there that Bernie Sanders just gave, you know, I mean, I know other people are, you know, kind of repeating those things, but me, myself, I've been saying that since day one. Democrats are, and I'm not talking about the progressive, you know, the 5% of the Democratic Party, but the liberals, the liberal Democrats are good at just giving you just a little bit, just enough to survive, not to thrive and enjoy life, but just enough to not die, to not roll over and literally, I mean, even in that case, some people are losing everything, but they make the smallest changes when it comes to policies and legislation that people really need. And that's the only reason why people are still, or I don't want to say people, but at least folks like me that knows that there's progressives within the Democratic Party. That's the only reason why I'm holding on to hope in the Democratic Party. And when it comes to Trump and the Republicans, who you have to be a complete idiot to fall for their lies. They're telling you everything is broken, everything is rigged, everything has fraud and waste and whatever the case is. They're going to fix it without telling you a detailed plan from A to Z. That's what they get paid to do. From A to Z on how they're going to fix it for your benefit. Not once has Trump laid out a detailed plan explaining anything. So why on God's green earth do we expect him to do anything positive? That's a con man. And people who voted for him are either hateful people, they're greedy people, or they're idiots. That's it. And Bernie Sanders laid that perfectly. Now let's listen to the idiot he's talking to.
But he at least acknowledged that the system is broken. Democrats often don't.
They don't acknowledge it. And there's a lot of finger wagging, or at least recently. I didn't feel that when I was growing up, but at least recently there's a lot of finger wagging. And then there's almost like this detachment from working class people, which is really sad because you'll see them echo certain sentiments. They'll be like, look at the Biden stock market. And it's like, guys, 50% of Americans aren't even invested in the fucking stock market. Like, you're so detached from working class people, you don't even know the talking points to make them feel good about the economy.
Right.
So how
Can't
do
even
you,
lie to them properly.
Yeah, like so what happened? How do we get here with the Democrat establishment?
It's a great question.
Well, and the answer is that we do know, and that is during the 70s, 60s, Democrats caught on that you could raise a lot of money from wealthy people, and it gets back to campaign financing and all that stuff. So you got a Democratic establishment now, which is funded by wealthy people. You have consultants who are really way out of touch with reality, who make a whole lot of money in campaigns. And working class is ignored. Donald Trump comes along and says, I care about you, which was a lie. So
I don't know if that's a lie. I'd give pushback on that. I think that it has to be proven that it's a lie.
All right, I'll prove it.
Yes, thank you. And you're right, I could look through rose-colored glasses, but the idea, I think that when people are struggling, anybody who goes, hey, I'm going to help you out. Like, I'm sure when I remember the impact of Obama.
Change.
He ran on reform and he ran on hope, right?
Yes.
Okay, so once again, and I watched this, I think this is my third time going through, and I kind of really do hate the way that they jump from conversation to point to point. But Andrew Schulz, Mr. Andrew Schulz, you have to understand, if someone comes to you and says, I'm going to fix your problems, and you just say okay, and you vote for them or you pay them to do X, Y, and Z, but they haven't showed you in their past, in their job history, in their work history, anything. They don't have a plan for nothing to fix whatever you're wanting them to fix. Why? Just why would you believe them? That's the stupid perspective to have. I mean, he just lied to us. No, that's not okay. If you fell for that, that's your fault. That's not a badge of honor. But like, I mean, he lied to people. He lied to me. No, you should feel stupid for that. Who in their right mind would get conned and think that's a cool thing? But okay, it's
ran on this idea of we're going to make it better for you, instead of Kamala seemed to run on this idea like, hey, it's good, we're going to keep doing the exact same thing, which is a losing strategy.
You got it.
So
that was her bloody consult. I mean, I know Kamala. She's a friend. She's very smart. That was what her bloody consultants told her to say. I begged them. I'm just between you.
Why
I mean,
can't she push back? Like at a certain, like
you're right. Look, there's no argument.
and this is the problem I think a lot of voters had, is like they didn't even know if it was her. We didn't even know if Biden was president. We didn't even know if these were her talking points. And we felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
all right. Hey, Bernie Sanders may not have an argument. I don't know if he's just trying to get through the interview, but I do. Okay, now, this might be nitpicking. I don't know. But the two choices he gave, or the two perspectives, he said the Republican Party is, oligarchies and selfish billionaires and destroying democracy. That's what he said, destroying democracy. And then we have Democrats, which is true, are putting up the candidates they want. Got you. Which is, I think, 99% of Democrats like thing to say wrong with the Democratic Party, okay? But I would still choose the Democratic Party over the Republican Party any day, until the Democratic Party gets to the point to where they are literally taking rights from people, like all kind of rights, kidnapping people just because they wrote an op-ed on a foreign country. Until it gets to that point, there is no Democrats and Republicans are the same ish. No, that ship done left the dock a long time ago. That ship done left. So once again, like, that's a poor perspective to have. But of course, when you're new to politics and you haven't really been around, you still wet behind the ears, that's what I expect someone to say. So let's go ahead and go to the next point. I'm gonna try not to get all excited, man. I got another video to record. All right.
We talk enough about where we want to be as a nation. And I think culturally, what Trump represents to me, he lies all of the time. He is interested in himself and more money. And almost what bothers me is that is the kind of culture that we advertise to young people. This is the world. If you lie and you cheat and you steal, you too someday can be a multi-billionaire. Is that where we want to go as a nation? And what's the alternative?
I think the most important question is, what do we want as Americans? And I think it is hard to, I think the way that we teach it in school is that people came here for freedom. And I think if we were being more honest, I think people came here for money.
Okay, so once again, if you spent more time already thinking about these questions, these different perspectives on what freedom is, what that involves, what does that look like to, millions of different people, you already thought about this. So you already had conversations about this. Once again, having someone like Bernie Sanders sitting across from you and you're just so rookie. Like you just like don't know what kind of engaging questions to ask someone like a Bernie Sanders, bro. You are wasting everybody's time. When it comes to freedom, who said that money and freedom are separate? When it comes to freedom, money is essential. Because if you don't have that financial freedom, nothing else really matters. And I hate to quote Kanye West, because I talked about Kanye West in one of his songs yesterday, but he said in one of his, old songs when it was Kanye West, he said, having money is not everything, but not having it is. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about freedom, we need the job opportunities. We need the job security. We need money to live, to thrive, to have that pursuit of happiness. It's not one or the other. Andrew, surround yourself with intellectuals. Then maybe you can have these conversations off camera, so you're not wasting everybody's time with these mediocre type of talking points. That makes no sense. This is my issue with this bro podcasters. Like, they bring on these people. Once again, this is for the viewers. I get it. Okay. But at least respect the person that you're bringing on by stepping your game up. And Andrew and people like that are nowhere close to that. They're just doing it for the views. They're just doing it for the grift. They're doing it for the money. And that is why I hate politics. Hey, get yourself a shirt. But that's why I hate politics. Because the conversation gets sucked up by people like this, and the people who are actual intellectuals like a Mark Lamont Hill. Oh, I would love for him to interview Bernie Sanders. That would be a very good conversation. You can eat off that for weeks. But no, we got Andrew Schulz. Got you. Okay, let's continue.
And I think it was freedom from a lack of opportunity. There was freedom from oppression. Otherwise, my mother is an immigrant. But I think...
Where did your mom come from?
Scotland. So, she didn't have maybe a lot of opportunity. Stopped going to school at 15 years old, came here to America, started a dance school, and she had immense success here, teaching dance lessons in New York City. Who would have thought? But I think the reality is that opportunity. I think Akash's family also came here for financial opportunity.
My family as well.
Exactly. And I think it's very hard to tear that away. I think that the fuel of the American machine is this idea, the delusional hope that one day we'll all be millionaires.
All right, but is
I don't know if that's right, but I think that is.
Look, I think this city is what the melting pot city, in a sense, where my father came from Poland. He dropped out of school at 14.
Yeah.
He came here at the age of 17, really incredible, without any money. All right, and that's the story of millions and millions of families. We all came different ways. But what I'm getting at is, should the goal, and everybody wants to live comfortably,
yes,
right?
Absolutely.
There's nothing to be ashamed of. You want to, you don't have to worry about whether you can pay the electric bill. You want to make sure your kids get an education. All right, but does the culture have to suggest that to be a success, you need to be a billionaire? What I'm getting at is I'm the former chairman of a committee that deals with all this stuff. So
okay, and they kind of once again steer off subject, but they get back to point here, which is my third point here. But I don't think Andrew understands what Bernie is trying to say. One, Bernie is not against people receiving money, becoming wealthy. If you got a good idea, or if you work hard, or whatever the case is, you move up the ladder and you make more money, cool, got you. That's what everybody should strive for. But if you think you have to be one of these corrupt, evil, hateful, that's always trying to be an opportunist and exploit everybody that you meet. You become manager, you're exploiting your workers. You become CEO, you're exploiting your workers. You start your own business and you're exploiting your workers and the people that's paying for your product. You don't have to be like that. Why is everybody trying to be like that? And throughout this interview, Bernie Sanders was always saying, you know, people see the world as a dog eat dog type of world. And that's how our kids are being raised in this type of culture is I need to look out for myself. Well, I need to look out for myself. I don't care about X, Y, and Z person. I'm going to step on them. I'm going to use them. I'm going to abuse them to get mines, to get my bag. And that's what Bernie Sanders is like. Why does everybody have that type of mentality? How do we break that? So, but once again, I just hate how the conversation kind of goes into one, and then someone says something, then they break off into the conversation, and then they never get back to that point. That's one thing that I really didn't like about this. But let's go to the next point, to where they kind of slowly wrap around to the point here. All right.
Something you mentioned, the hyperinflation of college tuition is something that you don't hear talked about a ton. But growing up in a family where the more degrees you have, the more respected you are, it seems as though it's getting to the point where you brought up where the product is not worth the cost. College, having an undergraduate degree, it's not worth how much you're going to make in the long run. If we're not at that point, we're getting very close.
Yes.
Is there a solution to that? What would you say to that? I would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Well, I happen to think that education itself is something that should be a lifelong pursuit. My wife tells me this every day. I mean, and I don't mean to be romanticize it, but, you know, learning is a pretty good thing, you know? Yeah. And I tell my grandchildren that, you know, in school sometimes almost discourage them from learning, you know? They got rote things. I hate school, Grandpa, you know? And so I think learning is important. And I think we probably have to, in this day and age, revolutionize education. Mm-hmm. But I personally believe in my soul is if you want to get a graduate degree, we need you. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't be going in debt. There should not be impediments. You know, we got to figure a way to fund it. But bottom line is anybody, I want to say to every kid in America, you're interested in physics, you're interested in science, you're interested in engineering, you're going to do it. I don't care what your income is. We will, in one way or another, you're going to achieve that. And you know why? Because as a nation, we need you.
Yes. Exactly. That's the type of spirit. That's that stuff right there that I love about Bernie. He said, hey, education needs to be important to everybody. And we need to get rid of all the roadblocks and everything that's with education holding people back. And if you want to be X person, we're going to get you there. Because guess what? This country needs you. That's simple. And once again, I don't care if you're a Republican or Democrat or anything in between, you would agree with that. You should. Why wouldn't you not agree with that? Education should not be a burden. Education is the one thing that will continue to advance civilization and technology, which should honestly benefit everybody. But it starts with education. It starts with getting people to get to that point to where they can invent and create and teach and advance. You have to get people to there. But that's education that people don't care about because, one, honestly, it's expensive. I wanted to be a scientist growing up, but when I realized that it was too damn expensive to go to any school, I gave up. I didn't care about it. But if I had the opportunity, I would not be right here today. No, I probably would because I care about politics, but I would be doing something bigger than working at a warehouse. Honestly. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people watching this right now would have the same ideas. So that is why people love Bernie Sanders. Now, could he make that happen? I don't know. But I would love to give him that opportunity. Prove me wrong. Hey, if Bernie Sanders, just like any other politician, hey, we should have made that happen and see what he can do. But of course we didn't.
You hear a lot of these people saying, especially folks that are attached to these big corporations, like America doesn't have enough engineers. America doesn't have all these things, so we have to go hire abroad. It's like, well, I don't know. Maybe if you had access to billions of dollars, there's something that you could do to make sure that we could grow them here. Now, I'm not putting that 100% on them, but you would hope that there would be some sort of benevolence that would recognize a problem here.
Not benevolence, it's self-interest.
Ooh, so reward their own selfishness.
We need engineers.
Yeah.
All right, we need people who know how to build tunnels.
Hey, Andrew, what are you talking about? You're talking about rewarding the greedy millionaires and billionaires to incentivize them to do something for people. You still got it backwards. Like, you've been talking to this dude for an hour and some change, and you still sitting there as if you learned nothing. Stop giving billionaires even more. Stop giving millionaires and these CEOs and these corporations and these politicians even more. That's not what they need to become a good person. No, you still missed the point. Incentivize the people to do these type of jobs, teaching and construction and being nurses and firefighters and actual good policing. Incentivize people, good people, to fulfill these jobs, not billionaires in hoping they would create jobs. No. Hey, Andrew, get your head out of the billionaire's ass. That's why you're not listening. Something's wrong in here. Come on, man. Damn.
All right. In case you haven't heard, there is a climate crisis. All right. How do you transform our energy system? Easier said than done. We need some really, really smart people to figure out how we create cheap, sustainable energy, right?
Yeah.
All right. I will send you to graduate school.
Thank you.
Dearly.
Yeah.
He needs it.
We need
badly.
You. We need you.
Yeah.
And that's what we should be thinking about as a nation.
And as far as subsidizing that, do we have room in the budget? And where's the best place to pull it?
Subsidize. What does that mean? So we're subsidizing this bill right now, the so-called reconciliation bill, Trump's big, beautiful bill. We got 200 in the House. The Republicans are putting in $235 billion over a 10-year period to go to the top 0.2%. So if your billionaire father is going to leave you money, the exemption is now up to a married couple of $30 million that you don't have to pay any taxes on. So this goes to the top 0.2%. Do we have enough money? This is what you got to get in your head. We have enough money in this country to do any goddamn thing you want to do.
Hey, that is what I'm talking about. Everybody, it just irks me every time a Republican say, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. We're going to, as you would listen to Trump, he has every solution for every problem for every American. And nobody sits here and says, how are you going to pay for that? Does that fit the budget? How are you going to pay for it? And we all knew he was going to cut Medicaid, Social Security, and fire hundreds of thousands of people, right? We knew that. The voters didn't, but we knew that. But when it comes to Democrats, we want, to higher quality jobs. We want health care for all. We want affordable, if not free education. Whoa, time out. Whoa, time out. How you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay for it? How you gonna pay? Really? After what Trump wants to pass, and I might have to break this down in a future video, it is ridiculous. Like Bernie Sanders said, this country can make it happen. We just have people that we voted for, unfortunately, who are in power that refuse to do it. Either Republicans because they're too hateful and too greedy, or Democrats who are just too greedy and cowardly. And I'm not talking about the progressives. Jesus Christ, give me a break. But that's why it seems like we can't get nothing done. Oh, man. Like I said, hey, thank you, Bernie Sanders. And once again, I know the conversation, that interview is for the listeners. It's not for Andrew to, change his mind and maybe he can take politics a little bit more seriously. No, I know. This is for the listeners. So Bernie Sanders is a great guy. Once again, I love the guy. That is consistency in a body. If consistency had a face, that is Bernie Sanders. You know what I'm saying? And that's why everybody loves him. But once again, guys, if you agree or disagree with anything I said in this video, let me know in the comments down below, or hit that blue sky link in the description down below so we can have that one-on-one talk. And like always, let's have that conversation.
I've been wanting this shit forever. I've been in the field with whatever they throw at me. Brush it off, pick myself up, moving on to the better. Ain't no errors, baby, it's a new era. I wake up early, feeling rich like I'm Kesha. I get to the paper, boy. Extra. Fuck with me, you know that I got it. Come with me, let's take a trip.